North Texas hospital evaluating patient for potential Ebola exposure. CBS Local out of DFW. There's another headline out of 9 News in Dallas. Dallas hospital isolates possible Ebola patient. Ebola outbreak, thousands of orphans shunned. BBC. Ebola-stricken Liberia is descending into economic hell. The Washington Post. 5 reasons why we may never know Ebola's true impact. That's out of Time Magazine. We're going to break it down. And then, of course, this article up at Infowars.com by Max Slavo. Ebola alert, U.S. patient 0, suspected in Dallas. Travel history and symptoms suggest infection. That's coming up right after the break. We're going to get into that first. Continuing, new documents show legal basis for NSA surveillance program. The NSA made its own documents, kind of like a get-out-of-jail-free card you make up on your home computer and put in your wallet, and they say that's how they spy on everyone illegally without warrants and why they lie to us. Gee, they're being honest. They promise. I mean, it's okay. They had a note, even though they forged it. It wasn't from the doctor or from mommy. It was from Baphomet. So we're going to be breaking that down. Also, you know that we don't criticize police themselves individually and demonize police for what other bad police do. That only feeds into the us against them paradigm, the divide and conquer balkanization that the globalists want. We are against federalization of the police. We are against them violating the Bill of Rights and Constitution. But the police are a reflection of the government. And you know what rolls downhill. So just demonizing them doesn't do anything, plays into the larger plan. But we do have to show what federal training and federal directives have turned the police into, what we fear in Mexico, what we fear in Nigeria, what we fear in North Korea. These are mainstream news articles I have, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to shoot him in the bleepus, in the male genitals, says cop before executing camper. They pull up and say, we're going to kill him. And the other police go, you mean non-lethal? And the guy starts giggling. And of course, even after he's been shot repeatedly on the ground, they keep shooting, let the dog bite him. It's an example of the stuff you see with gang members attacking an old lady or something. The very same giggling, the gibbering, I don't like hardcore convicts that are abusers of innocence. I don't like gang members. Thug types will try to intimidate you at the gas station. I'm not looking for trouble, but I just start really getting ready to go crazy, clobber. And I get the same feeling when I see a group of thug cops. Most cops don't act like that, but you can see it when you got a group of gangbanger cops, just like the gangbangers have infiltrated the military. And it is disgusting. And that's what they are. They're gangbangers with badges. And there's nothing, I think, more disgusting. And then it goes on. Florida woman arrested for possession of SpaghettiOs. Can't make that up. Cop seizes car when told to get a warrant. Tells owner that what he gets for exercising his rights. Paul Watson just posted an article to Infowars.com that I'm going to pull up right now. That is huge, huge news. CDC warns funeral homes in U.S. to prepare for Ebola victims. Recommends caution workers not to embalm corpses. And this ties into an article that we put out 4 years ago when we received secret documents out of Indiana, then confirmed them in New York State as well as Texas and Arizona, that they're preparing for millions dead per populous state like Illinois and Texas and Indiana and New York, hundreds of thousands in states like New Mexico and others. And I've asked Watson, who just showed me the article 5 minutes ago before it went live, to add the old article about the larger preparations during a airborne Ebola release or mousepox or something along those lines. Now, they have brought more than 15 Ebola patients to the United States. That's never been done before. They're now estimating at the UN 1.4 million people will have it by December. Some top German virologists in Bild magazine were quoted 3 weeks ago as saying 5 million. 5 million. Now, I don't know if any of this is going to be that bad, but this is not Infowars.com saying this. We were covering it months ago, saying it could be projected out to that point. But it's getting serious because they could use the fear to roll out this Monsanto Bill and Melinda Gates vaccine, and heaven knows what'll be in that. My grandmother got the polio vaccine, and a month later got paralyzed and almost had to be put in an iron lung, and about half her muscles, the nerves got eaten, got killed, and she's 89 years old today on crutches and in a wheelchair. 1955, she was as happy as pie and beautiful and had 2 children and was, married to my grandfather. And she went out and got that vaccine, and she got it. And by the way, it was a scandal then how many people got polio from it. They were just hyping it up, and it wasn't that big of an issue until the vaccine came in. And it was a victory of propaganda that they could do that. And still in India, in Pakistan, every couple of weeks you hear about 500 kids, 1,000 kids, 64,000 children in the last year. These are real headlines. Have paralysis after polio vaccine. They don't call it polio. It's the same thing. Something eats your nerves, and a lot of kids die. And it's just a number. 64,000. I think it was 64,000. Big deal. Oh, there was some more kids just died in Colombia last week getting vaccines. They were getting the HPV Gardasil. Oh, there's more dead kids in Afghanistan. The UN came out yesterday and admitted what the Telegraph said 2 weeks ago. Yeah, you know what? It's true. We had a vaccine mix-up that killed a bunch of kids, 15 in one town alone. And, they always underreport. But it's just like, big deal. That's just part of getting your shots as you die. And they go, what, are you against science? You against shots? I don't trust this world government caught doing countless secret tests on everybody and their mother doing this kind of stuff. I mean, you'd be crazy to. Our government kept shooting black people up with live syphilis and then not giving them treatment and watching their excruciating deaths as they spread it through the black and white population for 47 years. 47 years. And then they oversaw Lyme's disease, that is tick-borne syphilis, that was produced at Plum Island. Look that up. You can't make this stuff up. And I'm just giving you well-known stuff that everybody knows. I'm not mentioning the literal hundreds of other admitted domestic tests that I could rattle off right now. Hundreds of them. Hundreds. Thousands of total studies. Hundreds that were lethal. Giving the pregnant wives of GIs from 1943 until the 80s, when they, quote, quit the program, vitamin bottles, mislabeled vitamins that were uranium and plutonium pills, so they could, quote, see what it did to them. They weren't seeing what it did to them. It was a human sacrifice of the baby, a power of the state to corrupt the medical corps and to see how far they could go. It was a corruption. It was a twisting. So that's why this Ebola is so serious, is because we can't trust the people involved overseeing it. What are they doing putting thousands of 3,000 U.S. troops and others into the Ebola hot zones? You would never do that. What are they doing letting them come back? What are they doing bringing more than 15 of these patients into the U.S.? What are they doing? Look at this headline. Just went up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We're tweeting it right now at Real Alex Jones on Twitter. CDC warns funeral homes in U.S. to prepare for Ebola victims. This is breaking at Infowars.com. The Centers for Disease Control is advising funeral homes in the United States on how to handle the remains of Ebola victims, although officials are keen to stress the development is not cause for alarm. All 3 pages list of recommendations instructs funeral workers to wear protective gear while handling Ebola victims, as well as warning them not to carry out autopsies or embalm corpses. You think they need to be told don't touch them? I guess they probably do. If the outbreak of the potentially deadly virus in West Africa, why are funeral homes in America being given guidelines? Asked WFSB. Last night, it was revealed that a Dallas hospital is holding a potential Ebola victim in stringent isolation after the patient was admitted based on symptoms and recent travel history. Alicia English, executive director of the Georgia Funeral Directors Association, dismissed suggestions that Americans should be alarmed by the recommendations. And again, you asked Watson to print me, because I can't do it on air, print me the Aaron Dykes article from 4 or 5 years ago with the actual documents about funeral cemeteries prepared for mass graves. I think was the headline. I just need that intel. We can put it on screen. Thank you. I want to have it added to this article. As we reported earlier this month, the U.S. State Department ordered 160,000 Ebola hazmat suits, prompting concerns that officials were preparing for an outbreak within the United States. While Ebola has so far been confined to the continent of Africa, speculation has arisen that the virus could have gone airborne to at least a limited extent. Michael T. Osterholm, director of the Centers for Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota, acknowledged in a recent New York Times op-ed that virologists are loath to discuss openly, but are definitely considering in private the possibility that Ebola has gone airborne. Top German virologist Jonas Schmidt-Kansast caused consternation recently when he suggested that the battle against Ebola in Sierra Leone and Liberia was lost and that the virus would eventually kill 5 million people. Here is the article from 2009 by Aaron Dykes. Plans for mass graves confirmed. Government surveying cemetery readiness for mass flu outbreak or other deadly contingent. And the actual documents are there, preparing for millions to be buried in just one cemetery in Indiana and New York State. So again, ladies and gentlemen, plans for mass graves confirmed. We can scroll down and show folks the documents right there in the article. This is the reality, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Because when we reported the mass grave plan, they had all this national media say we were putting out a hoax. They had all the national media say we were lying. We don't put out hoaxes. Probably every 6 months or so, one of my great writers, and I've done this myself before, will pick up somebody else's report that is a hoax or wrong, because we're posting a lot of news and get it wrong. A couple of weeks ago that happened. Hadn't happened in about a year or two that Watson had made a mistake. And he did one about sex education in Florida from another source that was not accurate. It was actually Canada. But that stuff goes on in schools regardless. But the Washington Post wrote about how we were deliberately putting out bull last week. Even though I saw it 5 minutes after it went up, it had a gut reaction. I couldn't get a hold of Watson, so I called another web guy. I got the codes, but I'm not good at it. I said, jerk that story. And then I got Watson on the phone. I'm not throwing him under the bus. This happens to me, too. This is just an example of total transparency here. And I said, I think that's fake. I think those people look too old. I think that's and he goes, all right. And then Washington Post hit us. But here's the thing. They were watching within about 10 minutes. We had that pulled down, 5, 15, I don't know, 5, 10 minutes, whatever. Had like 5 comments when I found it, when I looked at it. And they had already seen it and already screenshotted it. That's how much they're watching us, just waiting for us to make a bumble. But I'm glad. I should probably even retract that on air, as that's why I intended to actually talk about that. That was on purpose to tell that story, because we don't celebrate our mistakes, but we open them up. We want you to know when we make a mistake, because we're here trying to get it right. It's like yesterday I said, there's no teleprompter here. I'm going off memory and research. I said, yeah, this monster that cut this lady's head off, tried to kill the other one, got stopped by the CEO of the company in Oklahoma. You know, I'm glad he took that guy out. I'm glad he killed him. Well, I knew full well he wounded him. I don't know why I said kill him. It's a Freudian slip. I wish he was dead. And CJ popped my ear and said, he's not dead. And then they threw up an article right there in front of me. That's good. That's what we all need to do with politicians, with media, with everybody else. I've told my whole crew, you call me on bull. You call me when something's wrong. You call me when you think something's out of bounds. Because I don't want to sit up here and compartmentalize, smoking my own dope, believing I've got all the answers like the establishment does. Because let me tell you, establishment, you don't have all the answers. This world is in crisis. And when Ebola breaks out, if it does in this country, we need to blame the system that didn't put the standard provisions in to stop it. They turned off the default protection modes. This Ebola thing has been allowed to get out of control. It appears to be mutated in a stronger fashion. That's what the virologists are saying. I'm not going to recap all that. The fact that they are letting people fly into here from Liberia and other countries that are in a state of collapse right now. It's not even the Ebola deaths, which are terrible, that are the real crisis. It's the fear the panic. And I'll tell you this, if Ebola breaks out in the United States, I'm going to quarantine myself wearing a mask. I've already got it in place for my family, and I'm just going to stay away from people that are infected and stay healthy. That's all you got to do. But our government could pull all sorts of shenanigans to let this be the crisis that let Obama stay in office. I mean, I never used to think that would actually happen, but the sky's the limit now. They've gotten away with executive orders on everything and just launching wars without approval and carbon taxes without approval. So the sky's the limit at this point. I would expect anything out of these people. We're going to talk to Dr. Group coming up in the next segment about that. In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. We are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. DNA Force from InfoWars Life.